My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewsyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content. Welcome back, folks. Hey, have you ever thought about self-storage investing? I know that's been a very, very hot asset class for the last number of years. And today we've got a very special guest, Tom Dunkel, who is an authority on this because he owns literally thousands and thousands and thousands of self-storage units and facilities across a variety of different markets. So we're going to dive into self-storage investing. Tom, welcome to the show.
Dave, hey, thanks. It's great to be with you and all the listeners today. I'm really looking forward to our chat.
Likewise. All right, Tom. So let's start. First things first, can you give us like a 30,000 foot snapshot of what your investment business looks like today as of mid 2024?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we we saw it in 5+ years ago and an opportunity in the self-storage space, and we continue to see it. In fact, we're more excited about it today than ever. There are a couple niches within the self-storage niche that we can talk more about as we go along here. But the more we're in the space, the more that we're acquiring and operating these facilities, the more excited we are about it.
So how many facilities and how many units do you currently have in the portfolio?
Yes, so over time we've acquired 18 self-storage facilities. Which is about $50 million worth of acquisition value, about 4,000 or so units, and about 600,000 or 700,000 square feet. So we've accumulated. It doesn't, we just did it kind of one at a time. But after you're at it for a little while, next thing you know, you turn around and say, "Wow, we did some pretty cool stuff."
There's 18 of these suckers all over the place. So what kind of markets are you in right now, Tom? Like what states or what areas are you focusing on, or is it just kind of really deal dependent?
It's somewhat deal dependent, Dave, but we try to focus our efforts in the places where demographic trends are pointing. So, like here in the U.S., we're focused in the South and the Southeast, and that's simply because that's where folks are moving. Generally speaking, people are moving from the Northeast, and they're moving to the South and the Southeast, which is great for storage, Dave, because guess what? You start getting into the Southeast, say maybe below the Carolina, in and below the Carolinas, the soil gets very sandy, so people don't have basements. And it's also super hot to go in the attic in the summertime. So people are generally needing storage outside of their house because they don't have a basement or an attic where they can throw their stuff.
Plus, you got all these people from up north moving down south and taking all their crap with them.
That's right. That's right.
They're loath to get rid of it, so they need somewhere to put it. Interesting stuff.
You're
Now,
spot on.
Yeah. So Tom, I've talked to a few different people in self-storage over the last few months, actually, and differing opinions. Some folks are saying, you know what, the market is really pretty saturated. There seems like a ton of people jumped into the space. They heard how great it is, and now we've got, we've got an abundance of self-storage facilities, almost too many of them. However, you just said you're really excited about this. You're very bullish about that. So what is your take on those naysayers?
Sure. Yeah. Well, just like any other asset class in real estate, Dave, it's very localized, right? There are certainly markets that we stay away from because, yeah, there's too much self-storage there, and there's not enough demand to go around. So it's a losing proposition. But there are still markets that we analyze very, very closely as part of our due diligence process, where we can find opportunities where there is growth and there is not enough storage. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a couple niches within the self-storage niche that we really like, which are even more of an opportunity because there's not a supply. So if you want me to, I can go into those right now,
Yeah, well,
or
in a
at least
sec,
touch on
I'll
them.
definitely come to that
Sure.
because I'm curious about that.
Okay.
Um, but one question that comes to mind first before that is, are you typically buying existing properties or are you building new facilities from the ground up, or both?
Yeah, so we're primarily a value add buyer, meaning that
Mm.
we're buying existing self storage facilities that we think are underperforming. Maybe they're mom and pop owned, and the mom and the pop operator, they're not using the latest technology. They're not going to the industry conferences. They're not staying on top of industry best practices and those kinds
They're
of
they're
things.
they're living in a place on the property and going and unlocking stuff themselves,
A
kind of thing.
lot of times, yeah. And their
Yeah.
big KPI, their key performance indicator is, hey, are we full? Because that's all they want. They just want their
Yeah.
units filled because last thing they want to do, Dave, is have any kind of marketing plan or website or have to deal with the churn of customers
Yeah.
because they're just they just want to collect that mailbox money like we all
Mhm.
do, but they end up leaving a lot of meat on the bone for companies like ours because we do have the latest technologies. We are implementing the latest and greatest strategies. And so we are able to extract more value out of them because we're professional operators and not mom and pop operators.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, the beautiful thing I've seen about self storage is like you can be located wherever you are, your team is there, and you can have self facilities all over the country and operate them from afar with
Mhm.
automations and cameras and self unlocking locks and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
That's
it's a
right.
whole new game for sure. All right, now you did
That's right.
pique my curiosity. The niches
Yep.
within self storage. So tell me
Yeah.
about this. What are you up to?
So there are two that we're really excited about, Dave. One is what we call pro storage, which is for contractors. So these are landscapers, carpenters, um, who electricians, plumbers, et cetera, that are running a business more or less out of their self storage facility. So instead of these being 10 by 10 units with an 8 foot roll up door, these are 18 by 25 units with a 14-foot roll-up door and a 20-foot plus ceiling. So it's a large enough unit where they can pull a van in there or a work truck. They can store their equipment, their materials, etc., and really kind of have their own self-contained business, which is important for a couple reasons. A few reasons. Number one is a lot of contractors got screwed during COVID because the supply chain shut down. They weren't getting
Yeah,
the materials they needed to complete their job, so the job just sat there. They're not making money. Their customers upset.
yeah,
And so a lot of these contractors are just not wanting to live through that again. So they're stockpiling materials, especially because a lot of material prices are going through the roof. So they're trying to buy at prices that are lower, and just stockpile those materials so they're ready for that upcoming job. The other thing that's important there is all of these last mile distributors, like Amazon, of course, being the biggest one, they're gobbling up all of these flex spaces in these warehouses,
mm,
and they are pushing prices for those uh, those leases way up, which is pricing out these smaller
interesting.
onesie twosie contractors. So these guys need a place because they can't go back home and run it out of their garage or their basement. The wife won't be happy about that. So
Yeah.
they're needing a specialty kind of space. And so this is just an area we stumbled into when we acquired a facility in Wilmington, North Carolina, about this time last year. This was a facility that it only has 96 or so units, but they're all these larger format units. And this place was built and run by a plumber
Huh.
because he saw a need in the market and he built it and brought all of his contractor buddies in.
Smart.
And so he's a classic example of a very smart guy. He saw an opportunity, but he's not a professional operator. So
Yeah.
we saw tons of opportunity there. And so as a result, when we acquired the facility, the rates were about $450 a month for that unit. And now we're charging $850, $900
Wow.
a month for that same
And
unit.
it's still
Yeah.
a smoking deal for the contractor too, because where else are they going to find that kind of
Absolutely.
space?
Oh yeah. When we
So
have a
just
vacancy,
just
it gets filled up right
logistically,
away. Mhm.
just logistically, what's the difference between, besides size, of that kind of a unit versus the typical self-storage unit that we think of? Is there
What do you
any
mean
other bells and
logistically?
whistles?
Oh, there's lighting in there and
Yeah,
electricity. We don't provide water or anything like that, but there is
yeah,
electricity and lighting, which we steer away from that in the more traditional, what we call retail storage, because that promotes people living in there and
right,
using, hot plates and stuff, and we don't like that.
right, right. No, fair, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very,
And,
very cool.
mhm.
Okay, so that's one niche. You've got kind of the contractor space. And sorry, what did
Yep.
you call that?
We call it pro storage.
Pro storage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we call it, pro storage. And then the other niche that we're excited about is boat and RV
Mhm.
storage.
Okay.
A lot of people, I mean, they love their RVs and their boats, right? So the problem is these HOAs, these homeowner associations that are popping up, they don't want the boat or the RV parked in the neighborhood. So
Yeah.
these owners of these RVs and boats are needing to find somewhere outside the neighborhood to park them. Well, guess what? They're building and selling about 400,000 RVs every year, but only about 20,000 new parking spaces are built every year. So you don't have to be a genius to see that there's a big disparity in that supply and demand, and we really like that. So it gives us the opportunity to make sure when we do have a facility like we just acquired two this past week down in Georgia, we know that we're going to be able to keep our occupancy high and keep pushing our rates there. Again, because as much as the retail storage is mom and pop kind of industry, the RV and boat storage is even more of a mom and pop industry. They really don't pay attention. They're really just trying to fill the spaces and, go off and do whatever they're doing. Whereas, there is a huge supply and demand imbalance there that
Yeah.
gives a professional operator like us the ability to really, really push rates. And so we're super excited about both of those niches.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Can you paint me a picture of what a boat and RV facility kind of looks like? Like, uh,
Mhm.
are you providing covering for this? Is it like a big building, or are they out in the open, or what does it look like?
Yeah, great question, Dave. Yeah, so they really are all over the map. So the
Yeah.
ones that we've been acquiring are really pretty basic. So we acquired one up outside of Minneapolis, and it's literally a fence and a gate and some lighting and some security cameras, and that's about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas, and then you can go all the way up the scale. Like a friend of ours out in California, they are building what they call like a Class A or an executive style RV park, where these are fully enclosed units. These are large enough to fit the big, four or $500,000 RVs, and
Yeah.
it does have the bells and whistles. It has the water and the electricity and the dump station and all those kinds of. So it's all over the map, similar to other asset classes within real estate. There's kind of the Class A fancy stuff, and then all the way down to the kind of the Class C basic stuff.
Yeah. No, that is so cool. Love
Mhm,
those niches that you're focusing on. Yeah,
mhm,
especially that pro storage. Well, all of it
mhm.
but that's really cool. I was
Yeah.
interviewing another investor a little while ago, and he's doing something similar, but uh, basically, I think he's focused more on like yard space for the contractors and
Sure.
throwing in a container or something like that that they can lock
Okay.
up, and same idea, but just kind of a different
Hmm.
packaging on it. Yeah,
Yep.
and lots of demand for
Yeah.
that.
My
So
friend
yeah,
Chris Long is a Canadian. He now lives in the States, but he that's what he's doing. He has a company called Long Yards,
yeah, that's who
and he's
that's who I interviewed
that's who
was
it was.
Chris.
Okay, there you go. Small world.
it,
Yeah.
it is. No, that
Yeah,
is
I'm friends
very,
with
very,
Chris. He's
that
got
is
a great
very, very
business
interesting.
going.
So where do you
Mhm.
see things going for you and your company over the next year or two, Tom? What's in the future for you guys?
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, it's no mystery right now that the market's been challenging, right? So, but having lived through the Great Recession myself, I know that this is just a period of time that we just need to persevere through and be smart and diligent and prudent.
Mhm.
But we're committed to this industry, and we have a great team that we've built. In fact, we just announced the hiring of Don Herzog, who's the chief operating officer for Belrose Storage Group. He came from Life Storage, which for those of you who aren't familiar with the storage industry, Life Storage was like the number four largest self-storage operator in the United States behind Public Storage, Extra Space, and CubeSmart. He was
Mhm.
the vice president of operations there. So when Extra Space bought Life Storage a year ago, Don found himself free to pursue
A
other
free agent.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
thankfully, the team here at Belrose Storage Group, we were able to kind of lure him in with our vision of what we're trying to do in the future. So we're super excited to have Don on board. I mean, really bringing all of his experience from the big company. So he's been to the top of the mountain,
Yeah.
and so now he's now with the Belrose team to help us get to the top of the mountain. And it's all going to be just continuing to move in the boat and RV area, continuing to move in the pro storage contractor area, and still just the retail blocking and tackling in the retail storage area. So those are kind of the three areas that we're looking to continue to build in. And we are looking at, as the market hopefully starts to turn here in the next who knows how long, we are
Mhm.
going to start looking at doing some ground up development, because especially in the boat and RV and the pro storage space, there's just not a lot of existing facilities in those niches. So that's gonna, if we're really gonna make a move into those niches, we're gonna need to build our own.
Got it. So, Tom, as we're wrapping up, I know a lot of syndicators in the multifamily space have been struggling over the last few years, and there's some nightmare stories out there with their investor partners and LPs and cash calls and this kind of stuff. So when you're talking to investors about
Mhm,
storage as an investment class, how do you
mhm.
overcome those kind of concerns that people have?
Sure. I mean, those concerns are out there. I
Mhm.
think one of the things I really encourage our investors to do, whether they're investing with us or somebody else, is really take a lot of time to look at the sponsor and get to know the sponsor and their track record and their team. Because a lot of times when a deal comes out, the typical investor is going to go straight to the deal, and they're going to look at
Yeah.
the deal and the asset and the projections and those kinds of things. I think it's important to first start with the sponsor. In fact, our the ebook on our website is on this exact topic, which I invite folks to check out at belrosestorategroup.com. But we have an ebook there called The Safe Investing Method. And just real
Mm.
quick, SAFE is an acronym. Of course, investing isn't safe, but if you use the safe investing method, you can de-risk some things. But it's just basically a due diligence checklist that gives you a series of questions to ask. So S is for sponsor. Got to get to know your sponsor, ask them a bunch of questions. A is for asset. You got to ask a bunch of questions. F is for financials,
Mm.
bunch of questions. E is for exit, right? Because it's not
Mm.
like you can go to schwab.com and click and sell your position in a Belrose Storage Group deal. It just doesn't work that way. So
Yeah.
anyway, it just gives a good framework for investors to use to focus on those kinds of things. And just one last point on this. One of the things that really attracted us to self storage, and I've been an investor in multifamily as a limited partner for over 10 years now, but
Mhm.
self storage, one of the things that really attracted to us is the operating model is very efficient. And what I mean by that is our operating expenses, our taxes, insurance, et cetera, only add up to about 30 to 40%. So we have, 60 to 70% left over to service our debt and pay our investors. Multifamily, a lot of times, is the opposite. Still a great asset class, but multifamily, your operating expenses a lot of times are going to be 60, 70%. You
Wow.
only have 30% left over to pay your debt and pay your investors. So that's why when you look up loan default in different asset classes within commercial real estate, self storage doesn't even show up on the chart because it just doesn't default. It's a great asset class for capital preservation.
Wow. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, Tom, if people want to connect with you, get the ebook, find out more, where should they go? What's the URL again?
Sure. Dave, this has been great, buddy. Thank you. Yeah, I'm Tom Dunkel. I'm the Chief Investment Officer at Belrose Storage Group. You can find us at belrosestoragegroup.com. Belrose just has one L, Belrose, storagegroup.com.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Tom, and everybody. Take care, and we will see you on the next episode. Have a good one. Hey there. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now, at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.